I want you to give it up. I want you to give a nice New York Comic Con welcome to the executive producers of The Expanse. Bring it up for Mr. Mark Fergus! And keep it coming, please, for the other executive producer of The Expanse, Mr. Hawk Ostby! And you will know this man as Alex Kamal from The Expanse, Mr. Cas Anvar! The woman of mystery in The Expanse, Julie Mao. Give it up for Florence Favor! The reluctant hero who plays James Holden. Give it up, please, for Mr. Stephen Strait! And the man who rocked a very good hat in this first episode, you know him as Detective Miller from The Expanse. Please show your love for Mr. Thomas Jane. Welcome, guys. Welcome to New York Comic Con, and great episode. That was a really good first episode. Let's just give it another round of applause for the first episode of The Expanse. This awesome team. Let me actually kick things off by asking Mark and Hawk. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sort of felt like this first episode sort of had this political intrigue and violence. It's sort of got this Game of Thrones in space vibe to it. Is that something that's going to play out? Is that accurate, or am I off the mark here?
That is a comparison we welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take that. Yeah.
You'll take that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that political intrigue going to kind of really play out over the course of the 10 hours? Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's a conspiracy thriller, which is what drags Detective Miller and Holden into this vast web of stuff going on. That they're little people living their lives, doing their thing, and they sort of pull on this thread, which leads them into a conspiracy that basically, you know, has the fate of mankind in the balance. So the political intrigue is a huge element of it, which is why we wanted to bring Avasarala into. You know, she doesn't appear till book 2 in the book series. We wanted to bring her forward because we just didn't want to wait on that stuff. It was too cool.
Yeah. And let me just also ask, like, the feel of this world, you know, it has at certain times elements of Battlestar Galactica where it's that gritty, dirty kind of sci-fi. Other times it's that kind of pretty, shiny Star Trek in different parts. How would you sort of classify and define the world that you guys have created here?
Well, I would say, you know, in the two things that people remember, well, among other things, from Alien is the, of course, the alien bursting out of John Hurt's stomach. And the other thing is Brett and Parker, who work in the engine room. They were so incredibly relatable. And I think it's that sort of aesthetic and that, you know, that really drew us to this. It was a grungy world with people you could relate to and situations that you could relate to.
Yeah.
So that was certainly...
Yeah, you want to see the guys. You know, the shows always have the Captain Picard, or you know, all the visionaries and the grand people telling you what's what, and who's in the engine room, and who's running the ship, and who's, you know, who's
was Ripley in her underwear at the end. That was guys.
That's what you remember. So that's.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
What chest burster? I don't even.
That was also memorable. Actually, Thomas, what was sort of the appeal for you? What attracted you to this world, to The Expanse?
Oh, it was Florence. I mean, it was chasing Julie Mao. I mean, I don't know about all this political stuff.
Just chasing Florence. I guess that's a pretty high praise for your character. But what kind of did you bring any tics or little eccentricities to the detective that you know, that allowed you to really sort of shape it and make it your own? I mean, I see a hat. The hat is great.
Yeah, that's great, but that's from the book. There are fans from the book here?
Yeah.
All right. That's great. So yeah, I mean, definitely the book, you know. I mean, I think that's what got us all excited and on board. I love the future noir kind of aspect to the thing. I guess Hawk and Mark and us got to create for Miller a kind of a backstory that I thought was pretty cool. That's not in the book, and which we kind of get flavors of, and as you say, like might add some ticks or something to the character. Was that he was born on that on Ceres, and his parents had been killed. You know, as you say, it's an engine room life, and everybody's pretty. It's a pretty hard life, so a lot of people die. And so there must be this sort of pool of like kids who don't have parents. They're kind of wards of the state. I always thought Miller would be a ward of the state on this little asteroid thing, and that's where he came up. And he had to be very streetwise and live, I guess, for himself. You know, every man for himself.
Yeah.
You know, which makes him the kind of amoral character that we meet at the beginning.
And Stephen, Holden, I mean, really, not to make things awkward, but you were really the reason your ship died. That they got blowed up. You know, it's not
That's
to put
not
that
awkward.
on your feet,
Not awkward.
but yeah.
Not awkward at all.
But I introduced you as sort of this reluctant hero. Do you think will Holden be this character that is going to have doubts moving forward about really becoming a hero, really like taking on this cause, and will there be lingering guilt surrounding the fact that he did get everybody killed?
Yeah. Well, I think it's that guilt that actually drives him through the entire story thus far. I mean, like, from here on out, it is that guilt that pushes him beyond his comfort zone. I mean, when you meet Holden, he's turned down promotions. He doesn't want any more responsibility than he has. He's chosen to be out in the middle of nowhere. And it is that guilt and that sense of that need for justice for those people that he cared about that pushes him to become who he does become, which is kind of this inadvertent revolutionary figure.
Yeah. When I get to Cas, I'm going to ask about the fact that it may be a little bit awkward dealing with the guy that killed all of your friends. Not to keep bringing that up, but...
Sure, that's fine.
What about Florence? What about Julie Mao? Like, she seems to be the mystery figure of certainly the first episode. Without spoiling too much, what can you tell us about her and this character's journey?
So Julie Mao comes from a very privileged background, and she ends up leaving this life of comforts and wealth to fight for the betterment of the people. She ends up joining the OPA, which is the Outer Planets Alliance, and she then sets out on a mission to figure out what this ship carries, and what she ends up discovering ends up kind of threatening or the existence of humanity.
That's deep. That's heavy right there. Cas, your character seems like this hodgepodge, this cosmic mutt, I guess, almost, that seems to have... I mean, what is his background? Like, tell us a little bit about the character's background, because is there like a little bit of a Texas accent there, so talk about him.
Alex Kamal is a fourth generation Mars-born pilot for the Mars Congressional Navy that is a mixture of East Indian, Asian, and Texan. The creators, James S.A. Corey, who wrote the novels, who is comprised of Ty Frank and Daniel Abrams, when they were putting the world together, they tried to figure out who is it that would create that first colony on Mars. What kinds of people? Who would those people be that would give up their entire lives and travel across the solar system to plant roots and die on another planet, never to feel the wind on their face, never to necessarily ever be in an atmosphere under real gravity again? What would those people be? And they decided those people would be the pioneers here on our planet, which would be like the Asians, the Indian, Pakistanis, and the Texans.
Yeah.
Go figure. So Alex is a combination of all of that. He's obviously East Indian Pakistani descent, and he brings his whole Southern flair to every conflict and situation. He tries to deal with things with a sense of humor. He's kind of laid back. He has a wisecrack for everything. And although until you just brought it up, I hadn't really put it all together that Holden is actually responsible for everything.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to talk about that. But yeah, that's kind of his role. He's kind of the caretaker of the family. That is the foursome of the team. He's a little bit older, got a little bit more life experience, and he tends to be a little more laid back and chill about things. He lets them kind of like do their thing, and then he'll come in with like a little one-liner or a wisecrack or something just to kind of, all right, guys, let's just take it easy here, fellas. Let's calm down.
Just simmer.
Simmer down there, chilling.
Well, you know, Mark and Hawk have been kind of spinning off of that, mentioning who are the people that would come to this world. There is sort of there's a really rich diversity in the cast in this world. Can you kind of talk a little bit about I don't know, for instance, the Creole belter language that we see? How did you kind of flesh that out? Because it's certainly more than what we saw in the books. But talk about fleshing that out, creating that language, and just creating that diversity, I guess.
You got to, I'll just say it was in the scene with Tom and Gia in the beginning of the series. You get a taste of that language, and that was.
There was. It was a little bit in the book, but it became the belter culture. That what would happen to people who went out into space and their bodies would change based on living in low or reduced or no gravity for their whole lives. Their bodies would actually begin to change. They would never be able to go back to a planet with gravity. So they basically become exiles out in space. They can't ever go anywhere else. And essentially kind of like akin to the Greek fisherman village where hundreds of different languages would just kind of find a common place, and the people there just create their own language that reflects what they need. It's a little bit of English, a little bit of 5 different Earth languages, complete nonsense. It's a complete Creole thing that basically it's a way for people from different asteroid stations to communicate and trade and all that stuff. So it comes right out of something on Earth, and we just love the way it brings what a belter is to life. They are the mutts, you know. They're just a little. They're no one thing, but what they are is people who can never go back to full gravity planets, which makes them really special. But also the new oppressed class, the new working class, the new people who are asked to build empires for other people, but get no stake in those empires. So that's really the heart of what this book series is about, are the belters. So the language is just a great way to bring them to life, and we had. A guy, Nick Farmer, create the whole language, and a linguist, Eric Armstrong, teach the actors how to, it's weird to tell people how to say something when it's a fake language, but he's insisting on everybody saying it a certain way because we treated it like it was real. So
I'm allowed an animal.
Well, yeah.
Well, Thomas, did you dive in pretty quickly to that language? Did you adapt to it pretty easily, or?
I made up my own language.
Yeah?
But I think they pretty much had to cut that out.
There's a very upset linguist out there somewhere that's like, those aren't what I wrote. Well, I mean, it seems like you mentioned a little bit that there's a lot of hand motions as well.
Right. In the early spacesuits, the communications weren't great, and so they used hand gestures to communicate, and so that's also part of the language. So you'll see people doing certain gestures that mean things. That's another component of it, which was pretty cool.
And Thomas, you mentioned that your character starts out as sort of this amoral figure. What was the challenge, I guess, of accelerating him into a hero without losing that gritty kind of badness in him, I guess?
Well, I think that was easy because he never does become a hero. Yeah, he just kind of stays an asshole, which was a stretch for me. but that's why I choose the roles I do, because I'm trying to stretch and grow myself. To be, I feel like every part has something to say to me, where that can offer me a chance to grow.
Yeah.
So he does gain a sense of morality, I think, but I wouldn't say that he's interesting. It's really interesting, because I love the amorality, or I guess the traditional guy who doesn't believe in the system, or who goes against the grain, or doesn't really see or find a reason to support a system that has given nothing back, And that's what I loved about the show, is that you've got this class of people who want to be free from the system that they are dependent on for their air and their water and their food. But as they grow and genetically sort of become their own people, they want to say, hey, we have other ways of getting air, other ways of getting water. We don't want to be dependent on the imperialist teat anymore. And that turned me on.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, revolution.
Did that resonate with any of you guys, the rest of you?
Yeah, I think
they're all imperialists.
That's right. Solid imperialists, all of us here.
It took you a little bit long to answer that. That's
rebellion.
No, I think the socio-political tensions behind the belt and Mars and Earth, resonate for in many ways what we deal with today and what we've always dealt with as people. And I think more than anything, this really is a story about humanity, and it's only a couple hundred years in the future. This is not, Star Wars or Star Trek. There's no hyperdrive. It's still hard out there.
Yeah.
And the belt and the people in the belt are the frontiersmen. They're the ones brave enough to go out there and push the boundaries of what we're capable of. And I think the politics behind the show really give it an incredible intellectual layer that I think a lot of stuff that I've seen in terms of science fiction, I don't know, not lack, but just don't touch on quite as much.
Yeah. And I promised you guys you would have your opportunity to ask some questions, and I'm not lying. So there's a microphone here and a microphone over there. So line up and get some questions ready. And I want to throw it to you guys and hear what you all have to say. So please keep it to one question per person. And as much as I love you, New York, don't get too weird on me, all right? Hi, we'll start over here. Hi there.
Hi. First, that episode was amazing, so thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
I was wondering, there's obviously a lot of hard sci-fi you guys were talking about. What was it like doing a lot of the space, flying around in space, obviously? The first part of the episode is you're kind of upside down and your hair is flying everywhere, and it was great. What was that like shooting that for you guys?
It's a good question.
It was amazing. I mean, we actually had a choreographer there every time that we were doing any wire work to make sure that it was appropriate, because it's not quite like being in water, and it's not really like flying either. But just on a professional level as an actor, I mean, it actually floating around and being in the actual sets. These are practical sets that we were floating around, and there's actually very little green screen for what we were doing in there. It really informs your choices. It informs the way you play a scene and how you react. And
says the guy who had zero-G sex.
Yeah.
Right?
I wasn't going to mention that, but yeah.
Right. Leave it to Cas.
Well, and Florence, you sort of introduce the audience to this world in that very first scene, in that contained area where you're weightless. You add to that.
So shooting zero-G isn't normally the type of work that I've done before, so that was tricky. I think it was a lot more fun and exciting just doing that kind of stuff, because I'm an adrenaline junkie. eventually you learn to work around, people just constantly just controlling your movement. But the fact that, so besides just the challenges of, just learning to, you kind of end up somewhat dancing, and you're working with every little detail. You're not just thinking about the character and what she's going through anymore, but you have to also keep in mind that you're shooting in the zero-G conditions. Every little thing you end up touching, or you have to keep in mind that how it affects where you're going to go with it and how you bounce off of it, and they're really subtle movements that you have to keep them really controlled. And the fact that I was in such a closed, controlled space made it even harder to work with. But it was so much fun. I loved it.
I'm just disappointed that I have to drink water now affected by gravity. I want weightless water all the time. I think that's the way to go. Hi, let's take a question over here.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I want to say first, Stephen, you're amazing and gorgeous, and I've loved you since Sky High.
Thank you.
My question's a little weird because I haven't read the books. I don't know if it's part of it. You see a lot of animals in that first episode. You see the rat, you see the hummingbird, you see this. It's just, as someone who's read a lot of sci-fi and stuff, it seems really weird to me to have the animals in space. Like, you're dealing with a situation where water, food, air, all of that is precious. Why would you waste that? And how the hell did a rat get on a spaceship to begin with?
Well, I think we wanted to do it because you don't see that ever. And
You've never seen a rat on Star Trek, no, but rats get in everywhere. I mean, a ship, you load up somewhere, and I mean, they came from Earth, obviously. They're on the asteroid stations, but yeah, it was just a nice kind of detail that we loved that we hadn't seen before. And by the way, that rat is a star.
yeah,
It stood up exactly when it was supposed to stand up in the background. So it's now enjoying a very, very lucrative career in Hollywood.
Watch that rat. He's got a great character arc. Hi.
but yeah, also the bird, you ever see a bird trapped in an airport? There's something kind of sad and kind of beautiful about it. And, we thought, why shouldn't there be any signs of, there's not a lot of animals on series, but there would be little pockets of the bird flies strangely because he doesn't have to flap his wings because the gravity is not as strong. So little details like that brought the world to life for us, and we hated that we had never seen that before, because why not? Why are all those details combed out of these shows where everything is nice and sanitized? And the Enterprise, you don't even see a garbage wrapper on the Enterprise, or a bathroom, or where is all that stuff? People need to do stuff.
Cockroaches are season 2. Season 2, we're bringing the cockroaches.
Zero-G cockroach.
Spoilers.
When you colonize, when the humanity colonizes, we can't just go ourselves. We have to bring our biota with us. We are a product, which I think is something that sci-fi doesn't deal with a lot, but we're a product of the Earth and all that whole tree of life underneath us. Wherever we go, whether it's Mars or Ceres or wherever, all that shit has to come with us. We're supported not just by air and water, but by the entire biosphere below us and above us, and all that stuff. If we're going to survive, it's coming along too.
Yeah. Cool. Hi there.
Hi. So there was something I was kind of worried about for the adaptation from the book to the TV show. Is Chrisjen going to be as vulgar as she is in the book, or do you have to cut back a bit for sci-fi?
Just a little.
The standards have been loosened, so look forward to more of that. We did miss a little of that ourselves, but some of the stuff didn't clear. So, as our TV standards relax, we will get more of that in there, because we love that too, and her potty mouth will be a big part of future seasons.
She may speak a bit more Belter. We can hide it there.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey guys, I just think the casting, spot on. I mean, Amos, Holden, Naomi, all you guys. I mean, I read all the books, and I mean, you all agree? Everyone else read the book? Yeah, they did a great job.
Thank you, man.
I noticed that you guys were, right on with the books. Is it gonna continue along the same arc as the books, or are you guys gonna sort of go different ways with it?
No, I mean the books. We're definitely channeling the books, and it's very, it's great for us that you as a book fan, recognize the show and feel that we did our job. So that's really great. But yes, I mean the books are so amazingly well written, and if you haven't read them, you should. They're even if you don't like sci-fi, they're great books. They're about people, and so yes, the idea is to follow the books and to capture the feeling of the show. You can't always get everything in there, obviously. It's a very rich world.
And the novellas are exceptional too. If you've ever got a chance to read the side novellas, they're unbelievably beautifully written, and we're bringing those stories in. We're moving pieces around from book to book. We're not breaking anything, but we're able to move it around. And the authors are part of our writers' room, so that they can if they don't like something, we can get into a fist fight like then, instead of waiting for it to be on screen. They're not precious about it, but they also wrote great books that we want to honor. So we love that you feel like it is the book. That's so important to us. And the novellas will come in as ways of supporting the main books, and they're just incredible. So we're going to use everything those guys write. They upchuck a book like every week.
Very annoying. They go home and write a novella over a weekend.
I mean, Corey, he was, a part of, putting everything together too, and you guys are keeping him in the loop, I'm assuming, and...
Oh no, they're screenwriters in the writers' room. They're part of it. They are with us every day. So it's a real, most people said, are you crazy to do that? Because I know that can lead to creative fiction, but in this case, it was an amazing gift to have them there. And they know how they've written the whole story out, 10, 12 books. They know exactly every piece of this. So we're telling one long 10-season story. But they can keep us on track and make sure we're not breaking anything that they need 5 books down the road or whatever. So it's been great.
Cool. Thank you. And just real quickly, one final question.
Hi. This is mainly for the actors and actresses. How do you guys view your characters, and how do you think they feel about the environment that they're in?
That's a heavy question.
How do we view it? Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure.
I didn't quite understand that.
How do you, how do you think your character views the environment that they're in?
It's a tough one.
Yeah, well, I think, for us on the ship, at least for James, early in the episode, you see Jonathan Banks go crazy on the ship. And the way I thought about it as I was preparing the character was maybe the way people live on submarines for a long period of time. It's not a natural place to be. You have to be a specific kind of personality to want to be out there. So that the environment does inform your choices. You don't see light, you don't see anything natural for years on end sometimes, and it does affect the way people perceive their life and what it's worth and what's important and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it has to be a very specific kind of person to want to be out there in the first place.
Cool.
Okay.
Pioneers,
Yeah.
I think everyone who's on our ship on the Canterbury is a very specific type of person that has to be out there. They're basically oil rig workers or crab fishermen. They're people that don't want to be anywhere else. They all have something they're running from, and so they are putting themselves into that environment, which is rough. These ships are 200 plus years old, falling apart. And in terms of Alex, he's a guy who doesn't want to be anywhere else other than behind a stick. He wants to do. I don't know if did you guys catch that whole thing about his family and the photo and all that stuff? He had a family. He has a family. It's kind of something that develops over the course of the series, but he's not with them. He's on that ship, flying that ship. And so no matter how rough it is, no matter how difficult it is, he is where he has to be. He is where he needs to be. And then in terms of where that's his specific purpose for being, because he has another life that he could be doing, but he's not.
Right. Cool. Well, did you want to weigh in? Yeah.
Sure. For Julie, it's very close to his. I don't think she really minds. You know, she's given away this life, and she chooses to. Her main concern is to basically fight for the people, and you know, to take it till the very end. And she's willing to go through anything. And at this point, it just doesn't really matter what her conditions are. And the living conditions that she's putting up with. If there are people out there that can do it, that can, you know, that are able to survive and still able to live in those conditions, she feels that she is most definitely able to give up her life for it and fight for it as well.
Right. And because this is New York Comic Con, guys, you don't walk out of here without some cool stuff. I don't know if you got it on the way in, but on the way out, pick up the Tim Bradstreet print of The Expanse. You got to definitely pick that up. Also, we have, it's very cool, I've been playing around with it backstage, the Google Cardboard VR experience. Grab one of those. Check out the VR app that has a flyby of the Tycho station and Nauvoo. Definitely want to check that out. But also, be there December 14th, 10 p.m. Check out The Expanse on Syfy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so
New York
much.
Comic Con, you guys are great. Please give it up for our awesome panelists, Mark, Hawk, Cass, Florence, Stephen, and Thomas.